Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It is no longer in doubt that certain monies that were part of the Abacha loot, specifically the Luxembourg aspect of it, were recovered. Curiously though, Nigerians were not made aware that this money had been paid until the recent allegations that came to the fore from media reports. Now, the Attorney General himself confirmed to Nigerians that all that was required for the repatriation of these funds was an MOU, which he took to the Federal Executive Council and was given approval for. Now, there are allegations now that another set of lawyers, which in my opinion will be a conflict of interest if it is proven that he previously had relationships with these lawyers in another circumstance, in his previous assignment in another circumstance. Now, the minister curiously confirmed the payment of the funds, but did not mention whether or not there was any such request. She only said that she didn't write a letter to the president requesting the stoppage of payment of those funds. So the question Nigerians want to ask is, so was there a request of that sort, even though you didn't write to the presidency stopping it? Is there any such request for payment? And the lawyer in question, finally, Mr. Speaker, has also made a public statement saying that in his own knowledge, there was no need for the engagement of any other lawyers because the work had been done and the funds were with the Attorney General of Switzerland awaiting the signing of an MOU, which the Attorney General himself confirmed publicly when he said that that was all that he was waiting to execute for those funds to be repatriated. So, Mr. Speaker, I think it is noteworthy that this Honorable House carry out a forensic investigation of this issue to understand why these funds, if requested in the first place, were supposed to be paid and whether or not additional lawyers are actually engaged. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Oguma.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I remain Honorable Johnson Aguahide Oguma. I represent all the people of Etako Federal Constituency from Edo State. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that this motion is coated with malice, and at the same time, the...
Honorable Johnson, have you read our rules? So you have to withdraw that statement with the speed of light. Thou shalt not attribute improper motive.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry, but I want to say that, Mr. Speaker, this motion has not told this House how much was negotiated with Mr. Enrico Moffrey of Switzerland and how much was paid to Enrico Switzerland, and when was the negotiation carried out, and at the same time, Mr. Speaker, for the past 16 years, Mr. Enrico, as purportedly written in this motion, was hired for the past 16 years, and this present government came in about 2.5 years ago. And within 2.5 years ago, they have retrieved our money that for the past 16 years has been contracted to a Switzerland lawyer. But the money has been retrieved by Nigerian lawyers. And the offense committed by the Nigerian lawyers is that they are Nigerian lawyers that have worked with the president before. But the issue now, Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, sir, is that this money has been retrieved within 2.5 years that this government came into power. A contract that was given since 1999 for 16 years, nothing has been heard of the $321 million. It's been retrieved now by a Nigerian lawyer, and within 2.5 years, and yet it's a subject of investigation. I just want this one to be placed on record.
Honorable Rita has a point of order. What's your point of order, Honorable Rita?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Barrister Mrs. Rita Oji, member representing Ajeromi, fellow of the Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm coming under Order 9, Rule 1(7). It shall be out of order to use offensive and insulting language on members of the House. And Mr. Speaker, I'm coming on the reference again. We thought that on this rule of debate, sir, we are talking about people going for before against. So I don't understand what my honorable member was saying.
Okay, I think he had already withdrawn the offensive language, except that he's speaking against the motion, and by virtue of our rules, you are supposed to take your turn last. So take those who are for the motion. Honorable Abonta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Uzoma Nkem Abonta, Mr. Speaker, I'm from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, I have looked at the body of the motion, and the fact contained therein is quite explicit with figures. The motion is merely saying that some fund as recovered by Mr. Moforini. The last speaker but one seemed not to have grasped the gist of the motion. The motion is saying that we're in an era we should eliminate corruption and people over-invoicing or being paid for service not rendered. The motion is saying that the Nigerian lawyers mentioned here have no business in the collection. Nigeria engaged. We've been following this matter for long, Mr. Speaker, and I can boast of institutional memory. The Committee on Justice in the 7th Assembly, and even had sat and even agreed on modalities of paying judgment debts, assuming this is part of it. The motion is saying that the lawyer from East Sweden or wherever had completed the assignment, have gotten the money. If for us to enter MOU of government of that country and Nigeria to say, we are getting you this money, it requires no further legal services. Somebody wants to create free money, $16 million free money at this era for no job done. What is the Ministry of Justice doing? What is the duty of the Attorney General? If it's going to firm out $17 million to go and collect money that is kept for us to take. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, what we are saying is that Nigeria hired a foreign lawyer at the cost of more than 30 million, whatever, to secure this money. The man had walked around, collected the money, kept with his government. The government is saying, we cannot give it to Nigeria except there's a proper MOU understanding for a Nigerian government. So what he's saying is that we need MOU from government to government. What is Attorney General engaging another firm of lawyers for? To go and sign an MOU? And then $17 million will just disappear? What are we talking? What kind of change are we in? And, I mean, we'll be here talking about what to do. Mr. Speaker, it is the height of injustice coming from the justice quarter that we will get 3 lawyers who they claimed had been their partners, who worked for them. That's not even an issue. You can even see conflict of interest in the matter. You can see sharp conflict of interest. And we're saying, let Mr. President, having considered the matter disclosed here, put on hold that payment pending the House investigation, the circumstances within which one is being paid. We shall be fairly in our duty, in our oversight function.
Please,
if we do not intervene in
silence, please, honorable members. Please.
It is very, very necessary for us, in carrying out our constitutional duty in our oversight functions, to see what will the lawyers do. What have they done to warrant them to earn $17 million without no work? I therefore support
Benilar, Honorable Benilar, please.
Society, only to add that the committee should be able to report back to the House
Honorable John Bull, please.
Time frame, not more than, in fact, 14 legislative days. They should report back to us as what the motion is entirety.
Abubakar Lawan, Honorable Abubakar Lawan, please.
We must stop all
outreach,
sharp practices, more so from the justice quarter. We want justice, and the Minister of Justice should be able to give Nigerian justice. I so support the motion, Mr. Speaker.
I think one other aspect of the argument we're not looking at is assuming without conceding that anyone is entitled to, a firm of lawyers is entitled to the payment of the sum of about $17 million. Where is the money coming from? Has it been appropriated? Is this money anywhere? Or the executive can just sit, appropriate the money and pay the firm of lawyers? So that's an angle that I want someone to address. Honorable Henry.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, my dear colleagues. Henry Nwauba, representing the enterprising people of Mbitolu Ikeduru Federal Constituency, Imo State. Mr. Speaker, while I appreciate the emotion that my brother, my colleague has just shown, I think there are three critical issues in addition to what Honorable Abonta has just raised. I think they're all contained in the body of the motion itself. And I would like to refer this Honorable House to the second paragraph, and indeed the third paragraph, that says that this money has actually been paid to the Swiss lawyer, but that they have been unable to access the money because they are waiting for a government-to-government transaction, a government-to-government communication. And I think the first question that we need to ask is, what is holding this communication so that the monies can be paid? That is the first issue arising from the body of the motion. The second one is that this motion has said that this new agreement with the lawyer has been done without due process. And I think that this House has a responsibility to find out, is it true that this government is going into serious contractual agreement of up to $16 or $17 million without due process? Can one man sit in his office and engage this country in an agreement that will expose us to this kind of amount without following due process? And then thirdly, sir, it says that the monies for the recovery was clearly spelled out, that the Nigerian government cannot engage another lawyer in this transaction. This brings a contractual breach. If left unattended, it will expose us as a country to say that we have gone into an agreement that has not been discharged fully, and we're entering...
I rise to support this motion on three premises. The voice of this motion is investigative. And I want to believe that nobody has been jailed or sentenced. And the House have no reason to condemn or give anybody anything that somebody is wrong or right. But there is something. Is there really an abuse of process in this procedure? Does National Assembly still retain the right of appropriation, going by what people are asserting on this motion? Mine is that if this motion, as is clearly spelled, is investigative, there is no reason why we will not give it a thought. Every information we are having now almost is at the doorstep through the social media. A lot of Nigerians have started asking questions. Some have even said a lot of us know about it, that we are all together in corruption. for the House to raise their voice in this issue for clearance is very, very important. And I urge my distinguished colleagues to assist by supporting this motion so that we could be able to assist in asserting these 3 points, whether there is really abuse of process, whether this money has been given to other people that is not supposed to be, or what was mentioned in this motion that is only MOU that is needed, which has been obtained by the Attorney General through the FEC. If this MOU has been given really, and any other payment is coming away from what is needed, these are the things National Assembly has to go in. And if something like that has happened, who appropriated the sum? Where is it coming from? And who is the one funding it? Thank you, distinguished colleagues and honorable members.
With parliamentary approvals for any payments that government will make. Now, my take on this is this. This motion is very, very important. And I would have even wanted us to have expanded the scope of this motion, because this one has to do with a particular transaction, which has to do with just the Abacha loot and one section of it between 2 lawyers. The totality of the extra budgetary spending that takes place in the Ministry of Justice, those that should know, is so enormous to the extent that it has turned some of our lawyers into those who are suddenly the, what do you call it, private jet group in Nigeria. Over the years, Federal Ministry of Justice has put a lump sum in the budget without details on what they call judgment debt. This is why it comes in. Now, the interesting thing about this is this. All a minister needs to do is to take a proposal to the Federal Executive Council that the Council should approve an MOU between the ministry and a lawyer on a transaction that is international. And then they use international rates to charge whatever values they want to charge. This has happened from the days of Okonjo-Iweala negotiating the 18 billion naira Paris Club debt buyback, where lawyers were paid fantastic consultancy fees, unknown to the parliament. The problem is that it is unknown to the parliament. We are not saying they shouldn't pay lawyers. In 2014, 27 billion was withdrawn from Natural Resources Fund and used to pay for Kashim Bila Dam. The following year, 26 billion was withdrawn and paid for that project. We as a parliament didn't know about it. This is the same thing that has happened in this case in Ministry of Judgment. They call it judgment debt. And I'd warned the parliament at the time that it also happened in the Ministry of Interior, where an MOU was signed in the case of our passport. It was domiciled with an Indian company, and they will charge a fee, retain some, and give stipends like 20% to the Nigerian government. So this is the same pattern. So I want it to be that an holistic approach be taken to address this issue. It should cover the entire gamut of all the judgment debts that is domiciled on behalf of the Nigerian government in the Ministry of Justice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
When you read the subject before us, the motion before us today, need to investigate. I wouldn't want to pass judgment. I wouldn't want to take side. It is this House, Mr. Honorable Speaker, like you rightly said, is an investigative matter that when it's now referred to the other committee that will be set up, they should be able to come back to this house. But we cannot stand here to call names. Why? Mr. Speaker, sir, and dear colleagues, when I read this motion, Mr. Speaker, what worries me is about Mr. Enrico Mofrini, a Swiss lawyer. But he was engaged by former government under former President Jonathan. And the money that the lawyer was paid was not mentioned here. That is worrisome. And since then, ever since then, since 2013, 2014, that this lawyer was engaged, Nigeria's money that belongs to you and I, stashed in foreign account, in Swiss account. Why the government of Switzerland are using our money to develop their country? Many billions and trillions of Nigeria's money all over the world, looted by government, by Nigerians. Now we are here to say that this matter should not be investigated. I'm not saying it should not be investigated. I'm not saying it should not be looked into. But what I'm saying is for us not to take side until proven guilty you are and innocent. So let's look at it holistically, Mr. Speaker, that the former lawyer who worked over the years could not return the money back to Nigeria. Now, this government, under President Buhari, engaged another lawyer. Today, that money is returned to Nigeria. Please, my dear honorable colleagues, let's look at this motion. It is an investigative motion. The mover of this motion came up with this motion. It is left for the House to now refer this matter to the ad hoc committee to investigate and report back to this House before we start discussing on the issue who is right or who is wrong. First of all, why was the lawyer from Swiss, the money paid to him wasn't mentioned here? Why? He was paid, and the service he's supposed to render, he did not achieve it. From 2013 to 2014, we couldn't get our money back to this country. And here is somebody, whether they are Nigerian lawyers or not, but they did all they needed to do to make sure that our money was returned and returned back to this country. And we should appreciate those lawyers. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity.
There's no amendment here. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. The ayes have it.
I hereby move for a bill for an act to repeal the Arbitration and Conciliation Act, CAF A18 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Arbitration and Conciliation Bill to provide a unified legal framework for the fair, efficient settlement of commercial disputes by arbitration and conciliation, make applicable the Convention on the Recognition and Enforcement of Foreign Arbitral Awards, New York Convention, to any award made in Nigeria or in any contracting state arising out of international commercial arbitration, and for related matters, House Bill 1377 be read the second time. I so move.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okay, Jeff. I represent the good people of Buruku. My dear colleagues, I'm from Benue State. I rise to second the motion as moved by the acting leader of the House. I so second.
The instrument of arbitration and conciliation was institutionalized in both our international jurisprudence and our own national jurisprudence, purely as a result of many reasons. One of the reasons is that in the course of adjudication, in our normal jurisprudence, a lot of time is wasted as a result of technicalities. Sometimes cases are bogged down as a result of checkered history of adjournments that they usually suffer. And sometimes also the outcome of litigation may not necessarily satisfy the needs of the litigants. So it was against this backdrop that the instrument of arbitration and conciliation was institutionalized in both international and our national jurisprudence, so that the outcome of arbitration and conciliation agreed upon on the free will, on the volition of the parties to a dispute will now be adopted by our courts, and then disputes will be settled. So what this bill seeks to do is to make the New York Convention on the enforcement and recognition of foreign arbitral awards in Nigeria in any commercial dispute, so that any commercial dispute that involves a foreign partner will be made applicable in Nigeria, square to the New York Convention. And Mr. Speaker, honorable members, this bill came for concurrence from the Senate. As I always kept on saying, the Senate is a house of wisdom, and therefore, if they pass a bill for a concurrence, we should respect their wisdom and also follow suit. Thank you.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to repeal the Arbitration and Conciliation Act, Chapter A, 18 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and enact the Arbitration and Conciliation Bill to provide a unified legal framework for fair, efficient settlement of commercial disputes by arbitration and conciliation. Make applicable the Convention on the Recognition and Enforcement of Foreign Arbitral Awards, New York Convention, to any award made in Nigeria or in any contracting state arising out of international commercial arbitration and for related matters. Second reading.
My distinguished colleagues, my name is Abubakar Hussaini Moriki. I represent the people of Shinkafi and Zulmi Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I am from Zamfara State. May I move that this Honorable House consider the report of the House Committee on Industry on a bill for an act to repeal the Small and Medium-Scale Industries Development Agency Establishment Act 2003 as amended, and to establish the Small and Medium-Scale and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria to regulate, oversee, coordinate, monitor, and evaluate the development activities and the operations of the micro, small, and medium enterprises in Nigeria and for other related matters, and a bill to amend the Small and Medium-Scale Enterprises Development Agency Act to expressly provide the agency with powers to protect artisans, market women, and the traders, to organize them into clusters for optimum benefits and for related matters, SBS 803 and 808. I so move.
The House do resolve to your committee of the whole.
Repeal the Small and Medium-Scale Industry Development Agency Establishment Act 2003 and to reenact the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDAN, and other related matter, House Bill 803 and 808. I now invite the Chairman House Committee on Industry to speak to the report.
Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, this report is a report of the Committee on Industry on a bill for an act to repeal the Small and Medium-Scale Industries Development Agency Establishment Act 2003 as amended, and to establish the Small and Medium Scale Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria to regulate, oversee, coordinate, monitor, and evaluate the development activities and operations of the micro, small, and medium enterprises in Nigeria and for other related matter, and a bill to amend the Small and Medium Scale Enterprises Development Agency to expressly provide the agency with powers to protect artisans, market women, traders, to organize them into clusters for optimum benefits and for related matters, HBS 803 and 808. Mr. Chairman, these are two bills, but the second one is an amendment which has been subsumed in the main new act to repeal the former one. The objectives of the bills are given there. The bill intends to repeal and to reenact a new act to establish the Small and Medium Scale Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria in order to regulate, oversee, coordinate, and monitor development activities and operations of SMEs in Nigeria. Mr. Chairman, permit me to go straight to the structure of the bill. The proposed bill is divided into 9 parts and further subdivided into 49 clauses, as against the former act, which was divided into 6 parts and 30 sections. And the bill, which is the new bill, seeks to repeal the existing act. The divisions of the bill have been given as part 1 to 9, captured in item number A to I, including objectives and application, establishment of SMEs, Development Agency of Nigeria, functions, and the rest of them. And the new issues introduced into the bill, they have to do with new provisions introduced into the bill to conform with the modern system of lawmaking and to situate the role of MSME in Nigeria to align with the international best practices. Mr. Chairman, the clauses have been given there, and the committee, conducted public hearing in order to find out what are the views of the major critical stakeholders. And it is at this moment that all these observations, comments, and the rest of them have been captured, incorporated, embedded now into the report which is just before this House for consideration. And the major recommendation, Mr. Chairman, is in view of the foregoing, the committee recommended the passage of the bill as consolidated, and the detailed clause by clause observations, comments, and the recommendations have been included in the major report which has been circulated for consideration of honorable colleagues. In conclusion, Mr. Chairman, the committee expressed its appreciation to the leadership of the House of Representatives for the confidence reposed in it and pray for speedy consideration and passage of the bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, honorable colleagues.
Very much. The Chairman has Committee on Industry. The report has 49 clauses. We now go ahead to consider the clauses. Clause 1, Clause 2, Clause 3, Clause 4, Clause 5, Clause 6, Clause 7, Clause 8, Clause 9, Clause 10, Clause 11, Clause 12, Clause 13, Clause 14, Clause 15, Clause 16, Clause 17, Clause 18, Clause 19, Clause 20, Clause 21, Clause 22, Clause 23, Clause 24, Clause 25, Clause 26, Clause 27, Clause 28, Clause 29, Clause 30, Clause 31, Clause 32, Clause 33.
Honorable Chairman, honorable members, I hereby move that the House revert to plenary to report progress.
The House hereby reverts back to plenary to report progress. Honorable colleagues, the House in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Industry on a bill for an act to repeal the Small and Medium-Scale Industry Development Agency Establishment Act 2003 and establish the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria to regulate, oversee, coordinate, monitor, and evaluate the development activities and operation of the micro, small, and medium enterprises in Nigeria and amend the Small and Medium-Scale Enterprises Development Agency Act to expressly provide the agency with powers to protect artisans, market women, and traders, and to organize them into clusters for optimum benefits and for related matters, and approved clauses 1 to 49, the schedule, the explanatory memorandum, and long title of the bill. The House stands adjourned to Tuesday, 17th of April, 2018, 11 a.m.
Well, this is where we'll round off today's live broadcast of the plenary of House of Representatives. But at the moment, the House has considered 3 motions. Out of these 3 motions, 2 of them came under matter of urgent public importance, and one of them is a motion that calls for a check and an investigation into the recent armed robbery attack in Offa, in Kwara State, where several persons died and so many others injured. Well, the members are saying that if this is left unchecked, there could be a recurrence, and at the moment they've resolved that the House will investigate. The House Committee on Police Affairs will investigate the circumstances that surrounded that attack and report back to the House in 2 weeks. I am Ignatius Nko, and on behalf of the Outside Broadcast crew, I say bye for now.
NTA brings you the best of entertainment.
I thought I was being sarcastic.
I went on to do other productions.
Everything music.
Hear which one you say.
If you look at the platforms
for a particular product.
They call a new school playing.
That's in the hot or we go carry
the hair go come the
and got the smell.
Somebody's sad, you feel it.
I love you. Just a little. I know this. Chop, they are already washed.
It is all a mindset.
Delicious.
To a president.
They depended on you. What else can I do? Get a shower for Bobo and dancers.
Watch these programs and more on NTA Entertainment Channel 105 on Star Times. NTAE, your one-stop entertainment channel.
Tiny entertainment, baby.
Timba.
flippers, okay, buy, only buy, tiny kid, la mache buy, I shall buy, Uri Mala Deorio, what we balling in the buy, flipping my ghetto stories to something great they cannot buy.
Money come, money go. This life it be like ghost. Steady hustle for the gold. I put my life on the line. I put my life on the line. Any ball more.
Any ball more. One any ball more. One more push a little shit better or it don't got more. You just my shit. Everybody got it follow more. Thank God I can still learn in the parliament.
You cool any goddamn time. You on the low any goddamn time. You on the blow any goddamn time. One day cinnamon go die. You on the low any goddamn time. You on the cool any goddamn time. You on the blow any goddamn time. One day cinnamon go die. Nothing can stop me from Oluwa blessing. Nothing can stop me from Oluwa shine. Nothing can stop me from Oluwa blessing. Nothing can stop me from Oluwa shine.
I'm a man, you know, say, ain't nothing stopping the boy. By belly keep judge, you disturbing the boy. I just dropped an EP that be shocking the boys. Yo, shout out to Tiny, discovering the boys. Say, and you only blow any goddamn time. Spit flows to blow your goddamn mind. Then the hits that we smile like house then why. DT, I do the 3-shot guys, yeah. Right now I don't be the one. She stay mouth like saying I some. Fine girls, they saying they want some. But now Baba go walk, it can't be undone. Nothing. Blowing up, you know not shorting. Stack it up, the money coming. Hey, keep trust.
You on the cool any goddamn time. You on the low any goddamn time. You on the blow any goddamn time. One day cinnamon go die. You on the low any goddamn time. You on the cool any goddamn time. You on the blow any goddamn time. One day cinnamon go die. Nothing can stop me from Oluwa blessing. Nothing can stop me from Oluwa shine. Nothing can stop me from Oluwa blessing. Nothing can stop me from Oluwa shine. Sometimes I made them turn up the bass. Sometimes I made them turn up the bass now. I got my guys and girls. We want to party, we want to party. Sometimes I made them pop champagne. Sometimes I made them pop champagne now. I got my guys and girls. We want to party, we want to party. Tonight. Anointing. Brother man, you see me, I'm shining. Don't let them tell you say easy. Give them tell you say easy. I'm on a set up.
Oluwa bá ti bùkún, Olúwa wá ṣílẹ̀kùn, Olúwa mú kọlẹ̀kùn wọ́n fọ́. Bẹ́lẹ̀ jẹ́niyàn, ṣùgbọ́n ibi ń pànìyàn, ìṣẹ́ dẹ̀ ń pànìyàn, ayọ̀ ní pààyàn sómi gbéra. Súré tètè máyọ̀ mọ́ mi lé bí n fọ ọkọ iṣẹ́ tí aṣọ rẹ̀ ògùn yé. Iye bọ́sẹ̀, yé ronú mọ́sẹ̀, jẹ́mi yà lọ ṣáṣẹ́ máa yọjú wọ̀nyí láàrin ọ̀sẹ̀.
Pápálápálápá anointing. Brother man, you see me, I'm shining. Don't let them tell you say easy. Give them tell you say easy. I'm on a set up.
Holy. I see Africans today. What we wish just we someone to smile. Every African man smiles. How are you?
Listen, holy. I see there for the other claim you holy soul. I hope you holy past Elijah Shah. Hope you holy past the prophet Shah. And I see there for the other form of my soul. I hope you get all the credentials Shah. I hope the people know you Shah. I only hope as you see me so I know they bother nobody. But sometimes they misunderstand me. And I keep it simple. I don't really care what anybody and about me. I just try to keep my head up. There's no need for compromising. There's no time, so no delay. Just be maintaining it up. Motivating, elevating, fortified and visualizing. Every day providing for my peeps and family. But still they want to run me down, Sarah. Them only want to see me frown, nah. Them only want to see me hanging. All the hypocrites and Pharisees, yaga yow. Them only want to pull you down, only want to see you frown, but God, your love is so amazing. So keep on elevating. As you live on the other claim you hold it so. I hope you hold it past Elijah Shah. Hope you hold it past the prophet Shah. And as you live on the other form of my soul, I hope you get all the credentials Shah. I hope the people vote you Shah. I only hope as you get opinion, make you know say other people get opinion too. As you do everything you sabi do, make you know say their opinion no one sign you. They come easy, no they hurry, make you look before you leap. Steady moving to the grooving, keep it moving non-stop. As you see me so I no go lie, no they easy. To make money come they jolly, come they live with no easy. So he who has no sin should cast the first stone. No they sit down for corner, try to dirty my throne. And anything you yarn to Baba go just a bone. Because no be waiting there for Najana in there for road, dada. Just they try to pull me down, yeah. They try to always make me frown, yeah. That your love is so amazing. I'll keep on elevating her. As you live on the other claim you hold it so. I hope you hold it past Elijah Shah. Hope you hold it past the prophet Shah. And as you live on the other form of my soul, I hope you get all the credentials Shah. I hope the people vote you Shah. I hope you see them once start dig down. They're monitoring spirit on the down. They look for who they want to cool down. They look for who they want to make to frown. So sacrifice your glory for the crown. So at the end, make you not start to frown. Just tell you now, for your life, now you will be the figurehead. And they see as they look you, they hope for them to live right. And they see as they look you when your eye on the red. And they see as they look you when your man to get the bed. So as you know, say, life no matter anyway. As you never end, we don't ever look out anyway. As you know, say, life no matter anyway.
Rain on the mix.
No be my power, say I buy house yo. Ẹbí mi kọ́ pé mo lọ́lá o. Olúwa ló fún mi lọ́mọ o. Na Jehovah dey bless me o. Make you no dey hate me. I no get your time o. Ìyọ̀bọ̀dá níwájú ẹlẹ́gàn. Na Baba God dey bless me o. Make you no dey hate me. I no get your time o. Ìyọ̀bọ̀dá níwájú ẹlẹ́gàn. Oh na 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 na. Mo ga ju ayé lọ o. Ẹ ò lè rí mi mú. Ẹ̀yin kọ́ lọ lọ́rùn mi. Ẹ jẹ́ ń ṣe tèmi à. I'm higher than the world. No go get me o. Ẹ̀yin kọ́ lẹ̀ lẹ́dà mi. Ẹ jẹ́ ń ṣe tèmi à. Make I live my life. Instead, make you dey pray. You dey carry my gist around o. Ẹ jẹ́ ń sinmi. Instead, make you dey walk yo. You dey carry my matter around o. Ẹ jẹ́ ń sinmi. Na Jehovah dey bless me o. Make you no dey hate me o. I no get your time o. Ìyọ̀bọ̀dá níwájú ẹlẹ́gàn. Olúwa dey bless me o. Make you no dey hate me o. na na na. Moga ju ayé lọ o. Moga. Ẹ ò lè rí mi mú. Ẹ̀yin kọ́ lọ lọ́rùn mi. Ẹ jẹ́ ń ṣe tèmi à. Higher than the world. Moga. Don't go get me o. Ẹ̀yin kọ́ lẹ̀ lẹ́dàá mi. Ẹ jẹ́ ń ṣe tèmi à. Make I live my life.
Sábà yìí pọ̀ jù. Ẹ ò lè rí àṣírí ìwà tẹ̀rànjú kòkò mọ́. Ẹ ò lè rí. Ó ga jù.
Ó na mo ga ju ayé lọ o. Ẹ ò lè rí mi mú. Ẹ̀yin kọ́ lọ lọ́rùn mi. Ẹ jẹ́ ń ṣe tèmi à. My blessing dey vex you o. Lójó fún Ṣínéke. Ìwọ kọ́ ló dá mi o. Jẹ́ ń ṣe tèmi o. Make I live my life. Ẹ ò lè rí mi mú. Mo ti bẹ ẹlẹ́dàá mi o. Kó máa ṣọ́ mi o. Mo lọ́jú nílò o. Ẹ ò lè rí mi mú. Ẹ̀yin kọ́ lọ lọ́rùn mi. Ẹ jẹ́ ń ṣe tèmi à. Make I live my life.
Last December, you won't come closer. Say what is the matter? It's a nice soldier. Say go fire. If I don't give a number, you want to be my lover. I say your father. I repeat I'm your father. Oh, see me see wala. I don't tire. Oh, I tell my mama, tell my papa. She says see me see wala. So come, do what you want, but don't fall in love with me. So come, do what you want, but don't fall in love with me.
We are stand at attention. I'm talking to you, you are respond. Give me your curry mess on. How can you be asking me question? You know they look face so. It's like you don't know my name, no. Mo fẹ́ ká má date though. Èyí tó pé ní boyfriend ò lè tó. Now me say so. See I stand a balance. Because I'm a chief lieutenant. You know see my car is German. You know see the swag gallant. See many they claim I'm madam. But I don't know these babes from madam. They just want to follow the ladder. They know that nobody is better. She say why ain't they flex like happy Jim? Make it a hope they dare they dream. You see by force to be with him. Is this a military regime? I be soldier man. I say stand at ease. Jury dollar my feet by it's only me, there's no competi. I will make it rain like it's confetti. Show my body, show love berry. I will take you and your happy. No mess up. Now I holla. I'm a Hitler, I'm a Basha. You better respect how they run the town. Even that I go, no fit turn me down. See weapon where you carry, come and be general in my hammy.
So do what you want, but don't fall in love with me. So do what you want, but don't you fall in love with me. Mr. Soldier, me I the one that is it by force. You the form superpower.
Yeah, I'm super. I get power. Walk that paper. Wafi shower. I get babes the age of your mama. So just stop this your drama.
See this man, I say your father.
Who ya repeat?
Your father. Oh, see me see wala. Don't tire.
Oh yes, now yawa where you enter. It's a one chance. I tell you no man, overthrow man from this romance. Only coup d'etat.
Soldier, do what you want, but don't fall in love with me. Soldier, me I know they do. Soldier, find another boo. Just don't fall in love with me. Soldier, me I know they do. Soldier, me I know you they do, so don't you fall in love. Money, don't you fall in love with me. With me. Don't you fall in love. Don't you fall in love. Yeah.
I cannot believe this. A whole chief lieutenant of all the military forces, somebody that is a role model to the younger ones. I'm the one that somebody is feeling to play long tennis, embarrassment of highest order and pedigrees. This is a madness.
Sakuron Luabi or Leoshi. Sergeant, if you want the girl, come and collect her. Goddamn, you're mad!
One thing will lead to something.
TY Mix.
This is another one coming from that temple. If you like it, bony face, now your face. If you like it, go to Gold Coast for one name. If you like it, run your rat race, now your race. If you like to be my girl, you go stay. Show me your love, I go show you mine. Give me your trust, I will give you mine. Water, fire. Water, fire. Now water, they quench fire. Water, fire. Water, fire. Now water, they quench fire. All I'm okay, what chop up. With the picky pop. Oh yeah, baby, let's check up. Everything Ferragamo. I'm feeling good. I'm a good boy. I want you. You are super girl.
Money can't do get his size. They born now. How long did they last? Show liar. I got you.
Beat the chest. I wanna let go. Show me your love. I go show you mine. Give me your trust. I will give you mine. Water, fire. Water, fire. Now water, they quench fire. Water, fire. Water, fire. Now water, they quench fire. This is another one coming from the temple. This is another one coming from the moon. I wanna see the things you do.
Coming through me, coming through like a war tool. Me I run the pole dry. Entire motion, test me potion, gentle like a lotion. Baby, this thing is real. I demand over you. We go run the town, we don't need time.
Girl, your love and your touch, no part to Clara. Yeah, you know mine if I stick on you like super glue. Show me your love, I go show you mine. Give me your trust, I will give you mine. Water, fire. Water, fire. Now water, they quench fire. Water, fire. Water, fire. Now water, they quench fire. It's just with peace all alive.
baba gba àdúrà o. Rolls Royce no be made with Akura o. Plenty money la fẹ́ baba gba fún wa o. If na lion teeth the money day, not to carry dentist follow body. My eyes on Zobo, believe me. Ghana must go dope, no be color money. I hear many talking about me, saying this VEC now wow. Lafiaji they hot Lafiaji, take it easy but bro malo wow. Many things I want to do, find won't be me. If enemy like make it don't scarf, Konile body me. Gigi Moji oh, Baba gba àdúrà o. Káyé mi dára o, Baba gba àdúrà o. Rolls Royce no be made with Akura o. Plenty money la fẹ́ Baba gba fún wa o. Something you don't know, your love Fuji don't know. Níbi tẹ́gbẹ́ mi bá ṣeré, kémi lè rówó náà o. Bàbá dákun dábọ̀ yẹ o, jẹ́ kí n kí owó kàbọ̀ o. Bàbá ṣe mí lóore, bàbá mi ti ṣe mí lóore. Kita o dollar, we hustle every day for the dollar. Shop boy, don't be a dollar. Make hunger no go round your neck like collar. For those people talking about me, saying this VEC now wow. Lafiaji they hustle, Lafiaji but Jesus Christ ni baba. Jesus Christ ni baba. Gigi Moji oh, Baba gba àdúrà o. Káyé mi dára o, Baba gba àdúrà o. Rolls Royce no be made with Akura o. Plenty money la fẹ́ Baba gba fún wa o.
Why don't you people sell imported materials here? As beautiful as the shop is.
See, buying foreign goods does not help our economy. Neither does it boost local production. And the good thing is Nigerian-made products are high quality. Really? And to make Nigeria great again. That is why I only say.
An experience you won't forget.
NTA International News.
25th Commonwealth Heads of State and Government Summit targets future of 2.4 billion people of the Commonwealth.
Holding for the first time in London since 1997, the Commonwealth leaders are here to chart a pragmatic course towards ensuring that at all times the Commonwealth is responsive to global challenges and delivers a more prosperous.
Hello and thank you for joining us on the news on NTA International. I am Lami Ali. President Muhammadu Buhari has joined 57 other heads of state and government for the 2018 Commonwealth Summit in London, the British capital, towards the common future for the Commonwealth's 2.4 billion people will be a major focus of the summit, which is the 25th in the series. State House correspondent Adam Sambo reports.
Holding for the first time in London since 1997, the Commonwealth leaders are here to chart a pragmatic course towards ensuring that at all times the Commonwealth is responsive to global challenges and delivers a more prosperous, secure, sustainable and fair future for all its citizens.
The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
In a unique Commonwealth tradition, the heads of state and government were ushered into the ballroom of Buckingham Palace, opened in 1856 for the official start of the biannual meeting last held in the island nation of Malta in 2015.
No one else can speak the words on your lips. Judge yourself in words unspoken. Live your life with arms wide open.
Queen Elizabeth II, who declared the two-day summit opened, welcomed the leaders to her own home and observed with pride as well as satisfaction that the Commonwealth, as one of the world's greatest convening powers, is a flourishing network.
It is my sincere wish that the Commonwealth will continue to offer stability and continuity for future generations. I believe we will secure a safer, more prosperous and sustainable world for those who follow us.
Describing her service to the Commonwealth as a great pleasure and honor, the Queen appealed to the leaders to appoint her son, Prince Charles, to succeed her, although the role is not hereditary. Other speakers at the opening, including the British Prime Minister Theresa May, challenged participants to take on some of the 21st century biggest questions. Mrs. May in particular noted that there have been difficulties, successes as well as controversies, but wholeheartedly believes in the good that the Commonwealth can do.
Our responsibility as leaders is to build a Commonwealth that we can be proud to hand on to the next generation.
I pray that this Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting will not only revitalise the bonds between our countries, but will also give the Commonwealth a renewed relevance to all its citizens, finding practical solutions to their problems and giving life to their aspirations.
We believe in the Commonwealth. We have faith in the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting is a springboard for action. It is the launch pad that propels us onward, upward, forward, together.
Over the next 2 days, the participating heads of state and government will be discussing issues of common interest, including ocean conservation, cybersecurity, and trade amongst member countries. From London, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
From the Commonwealth, Nigeria's military collaboration with the...
whole problem started with the oil boom.
Because the parliament is the assembly of the people.
Frontiers, analyzing topical issues across the globe. It's analytical, educative, and incisive.
Traditionally, our people, are liberal in the sense that they sit down and dialogue among themselves.
The standards of the products that they bring into the country are not the same standards that they take in other countries where they invest in.
Let's look inwards and fight for the right thing always.
Explore all sides of issues, showing on NTA International every Wednesday at this time. Don't miss it.
NTA International.
Glad to have you join us again. The head of civil service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, has promised to look into challenges confronting the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development with a view to proffering solutions. This was at a peer-review visit to the ministry.
The stagnation of your members. Well, the lady who talked about stagnation, you have to improve yourself. Talking about, finally, about training and orientation of your staff, all these are things we are already carrying on in our base points and activity plan.
National Demographic Health Survey, yes, and we're part of it. We want to do census for our children, the people with persons with disabilities, and since we don't have funding, we can't afford to do it. It would be nice if we can get them to do that.
The head of service called for extension of their mandate with a view to establishing Department of Psychology for Men to enhance reduction in violence against women and children as a result of financial stress and other psychological issues. Now to corruption matters. For Nigeria's fight against corruption to be holistic, religious leaders must be involved as government alone cannot tackle the menace. This all-inclusive strategy was the focus of a one-day workshop on promoting good governance and anti-corruption organized by the Just Foundation, an NGO based in Abuja. Correspondent Ahmed Ondas Ahmed reports.
Corruption has been a threat to all facets of Nigeria, especially the economy, as its effect is felt in the everyday life of Nigerians. Effort by governments in the past and the present one is aimed at combating the scourge in order to give Nigerians dividends of democracy. To this end, no governmental organizations in the country are advocating the utilization of religious clerics in the anti-corruption crusade, as informed by this gathering.
Fighting corruption, especially in Nigeria today, is beyond the ability of the government alone. It should be duty for everybody to fight corruption. The young and the aged, men and women, civil servants, those who are on private sector, the ulamas, the pastors, leaders of the religion actually have a bigger role to play.
It's our little way of supporting Nigeria and the government in ensuring that we also throw our own punch against corruption.
I think we should all support this government. We appreciate what they are doing, this fight against corruption, because it is the thing that is affecting everybody all across.
The forum is having participants drawn from both the academic and religious organizations to brainstorm on the best possible way to combat the scourge in Nigeria. In Abuja, Ahmed Ondas Ahmed, NTA News.
Moving on, the Delta State government says the entrenchment of a sustainable peace in Niger Delta region to boost oil and gas fortunes is a task that must be accomplished. The Deputy Governor and Chairman Advocacy Committee Against Vandalism of Oil and Gas Facilities, Kingsley Otaru, stated this at a meeting with critical stakeholders held in Warri. Elo Agbara has the details.
To stem the tide against oil and gas installations vandalism, which took a toll on the country's economy in 2016, the Delta State government swung into action with the Advocacy Committee Against Vandalism of Oil and Gas Facilities. They have been transversing the nooks and crannies of the oil-producing communities, appealing to all stakeholders to pursue peace for the much-needed growth and development. The latest of such efforts is the meeting following a two-day conference held in Ogulaha, where community leaders and the locals paired their minds on the effects of oil and gas exploration on their land.
For us in the Delta State, we are deeply committed to make sure that the sustenance and sensibility in the oil and environment in the states, because we cannot afford the reason to have a repeat of what did happen in recent past.
Representative of one of the leading oil firms in the country described the steps taken by the state government as apt. He said the presence of a multinational company in an area should add value to the host community and improve revenue generation.
Efforts of the Delta State Advocacy Committee Against Oil and Gas Facilities
is reversing the narrative and the impact is being fed. From Warri, Delta State, Elo Agbra, NTA News.
Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says cultural festivals not only provide job opportunities for Nigerians, they also attract tourists to the country and preserve the country's culture for future generations. The minister represented President Muhammadu Buhari at the opening of the 2018 edition of the African Drum Festival in Abeokuta, Ogun State.
We will continue to support this festival by making all our media platforms available to create awareness for it. We will also ensure that it is included in our national calendar of festivals.
As we now move to the 4th year, this is the 3rd year, I'm sure clearly we will now, this will be self-funded, this will be self-driven, and it will be majorly private sector driven.
He lauded the Ogun State government for the brilliant initiative and pledged the federal government's unalloyed support to take the festival to a higher level. The festival, the 3rd in the series, had participants from across Nigeria and 16 African nations. Lake of Egbaland, Oba Adedotun Gbadebo III, and other traditional rulers commended the Ogun State governor for sustaining the drum festival. In sports update is next with Tamara Ebiwe.
Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Ogbonnaya Onu, has reiterated the ministry's commitment towards embarking on the production of sports equipment in a bid to boost the nation's economy. Dr. Onu was speaking in Abuja Thursday while receiving organizers of the 2019 Nigeria Building and Research Institute Games Festival, who visited him with the hosting rights flag.
Many of our research institutes do a lot of research in finding out ways we can develop equipment, sporting equipment, that are cheaper than even the best that you find anywhere in the world.
Team Nigeria athletes who returned to the country midweek have expressed satisfaction with the country's performance in the just concluded Commonwealth Games in Gold Coast, Australia. Some of them who spoke to Oche Ngbede on arrival at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, said they will not relent but up their games ahead of subsequent competitions.
All what I have to tell the youth and sports is for them to help us to do what they need to do at the right time so that we can be able to do well at the 2020 Olympics.
And in wrestling, President, Nigeria Wrestling Federation, Daniel Igali, has been elected Vice President of the Commonwealth Wrestling Board. Igali, former world and Olympic champion, polled 19 out of the available 22 votes at a meeting of the General Assembly of the Commonwealth Wrestling Committee at the just concluded 2018 Commonwealth Games in Australia to emerge one of the 3 vice presidents of the body. With sports updates, Tamara Ebiwe, NTA News.
And here's a quick check on Friday's weather prospects for Nigeria and some cities of the world. And those are the stories that made the news at this time on NTA International. Many thanks for your time. I am Lami Ali.
I am the laughter of the world's happiest people. I am my brother's keeper.
I am a child in one of the youngest nations on earth. I am the passion. I am the soul of a continent. I am a Nigerian.
Have you been thinking about coming to Nigeria? Then what are you waiting for? Come share in our wealth of vast resources. Come discover treasure. Come to where there's lots of business opportunities. Come to Nigeria. Nigeria, my nation, my pride.
Welcome to Nigeria, a fascinating country. Take a trip through one of the most beautiful places on earth. A journey of discovery. A unique opportunity to get in touch with unspoiled nature. Enjoy your time in a place that offers something for everyone. A land of beautiful contrasts. An experience you won't forget. Fascinating Nigeria.
Follow us on Twitter at NTA News Now, or you can like us on Facebook at NTA Network News. Stay connected on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Watch our live stream at www.nta.ng/live. NTA, you can't beat the rich.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Hello there, you are welcome one more time to Reflections. Today on the program we are going to meet another iconic Nigerian. This is one Nigerian that you can describe as an economist, a teacher, a journalist, a public relations expert, a publisher, and no less a politician. My name is Abdurrahman Ibn Mohammed, and it is my pleasure to welcome His Excellency Alhaji Sule Iyaji, who has just clocked 72 years to this edition of Reflections. Your Excellency, you are welcome to Reflections.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
I have referred to our esteemed guest today as His Excellency because it has to be put on record. He was Deputy Governor of the old Benue State way back in 1983. He served between October and December before, of course, viewers will remember that we had a change of government at the end of that year. We shall get to that and other issues concerning the lives and times of Alhaji Sule Iyaji, our guest on Reflections today. Your Excellency, let's start from the beginning. May we get to know you, hearing from the horse's mouth, so to speak.
Yes, my name is Alhaji Sule Iyaji. I hail from Omala local government of present Kogi State. And just like you said, I'm very close to 72 years now by June. I did my primary school in my village, then went on to senior primary school at the Kina, which is now a full secondary school. Proceeded from there to Okini Secondary, renowned Okini Secondary School, which ranked about the level of Barewa College, Government College, Kefi, and the like. I did the secondary school there and also did what they call the HSC, Higher School Certificate, in that school. Worked for briefly before I proceeded to Ahmadu Bello University in 1971. And I had worked variously thereafter. I had worked with the New Nigerian newspaper.
Well, before working with the New Nigerian newspapers, you earned a BSc degree in economics from ABU, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. BSc economics. That was 1975, I clocked it, yeah. And did my NYC in Kaduna State.
Well, sir, your working experience shows that it is a variation of so many parts. You not only worked as at bureaus, accounting and electronics machines in northern Nigeria, and you were also assistant adverts manager, and you also served as an economic correspondent. That's why I described you as a journalist.
Yeah.
Let's get how this came up altogether.
Yes, I am by nature very adventurous. I like to have a taste of so many things so that I could build myself into a full-fledged human being. Like my sojourn to Boros Mission. Boros machine is a USC unit of these colonial people who came to trade in Nigeria. And they were looking for people who could market their products. Adding machine, calculating machine, electronics. So they appointed me the manager in charge of the whole of the north at that time. They were based in Lagos. And I traveled throughout the northern part of the country, selling huge number of machines for government and private agencies. Later, I decided that I should go back to university, that was 1971, to take up a degree in economics. And I rounded up about 1975. And thereafter I went to the New Nigerian newspapers. Before then I was contributing to columns in the New Nigerian newspapers. So when I returned, they made me the assistant adverts manager of the New Nigerian newspapers. When I was there, they established, the French government were establishing this Peugeot automobile industry, an assembly plant in Kaduna. And they were looking forward to seeing how they could cement relationship between the mostly French people in Peugeot automobile and the Nigerians. You know, and the French people only spoke, most of them only spoke French. And they said they need somebody from the media house to operate and publish an in-house magazine called the Pan News. So I was given this responsibility. They first approached Madam Adamuchiroma. He would let somebody from the media there. And one day I was called and interviewed. And I said,
Malam Adamu was then the editor of
New Nigerian newspapers, yes. So that's how, then I went to there, I served them. They were very excited. I established the in-house magazine, Pan News. And they sent copies and translations to their home country in France. They were very excited. Each time they came, they wanted to see me, how I was, and all that. But incidentally, that was not going to last, because by 1978, the country was preparing to return to democracy. That is, to the Second Republic. And I continued to receive presentations from my people to come and represent them in the Benue State House of Assembly. That's how I left, you know, the Peugeot Automobile Nigeria Limited. I went in, at last. In fact, I didn't want to go into politics, but the pressure was on me from my people. One, they were hearing I was, as a media somebody, I was popular with the people, everybody around. They said they would like me in politics.
Well, we will get to your times in politics in a moment, but I'd like to stay with this point on your being released, so to speak, from the New Nigerian newspapers by Malam Adamuchiroma to go and work at PAN as head of public relations, under which, in that capacity, you publish the in-house magazine. You said something that has struck me, that the magazine was both in English and French?
And French, yeah. A translation in French.
Who did the translation?
We have somebody who understood English and French among the French people. So he did the translation.
Okay, that struck me, and I needed to clarify, because I don't recall you are telling us that you studied French.
I studied French in forms 2 and 3 in secondary school.
Okay.
But thereafter, I abandoned this.
But in your sojourn in PAN, you probably remembered a few of the words that you learned in forms 1 and 2?
Yes, I up to now.
Okay.
Comment allez-vous?
What
How are you?
How are you?
Yes.
Okay.
Très bien, very good.
Great.
And Lagason, the boy.
Well, I should just tell you, merci, Your Excellency. So let's now ride on now. You're sojourned to politics. In 1978, you were under great pressure, you were saying, from your people. That was one cry we had from so many politicians, and I believe we still do in one or two places. Come and serve. My people have asked me to come and serve. How did your people get to know your sojourn? And did you eventually accept it? Tell us what happened.
What happened was this. Like I told you, I was frequent on the pages of the New Nigerian newspapers. And you know, it circulated very well all over the country at that time. So my write-ups, my contribution was at the disposal of most people. My political base in Igalaland were proud that there is somebody who is contributing meaningfully on the pages of newspaper at that time. So most people got to know me by proxy, by what I wrote in the papers. And so when the elections were coming, they wanted people who was well advanced, who has knowledge about goings on in the country, and who can do that better than a journalist. So the pressure came. In fact, what happened was there was a strong organization at my base in Omala called the Ife Development Association. They approached me and one other person of blessed memory, Daniel Iduguma. We met, and I said, Iduguma, you take it. I concede it to you. I will support you. Later, 3 months later, he came back and said, look, Sule, he's not comfortable. He was already in the civil service, and the first graduate in the civil service of Benue State. And he said, look, if I leave this place, for a long time, we won't have somebody who will become permanent secretary. That he was the only person on that lane, that he would like to continue his profession along that line. Whatever other considerations came in is not for discussion now. But he chickened out. So people reapproached me again that I have to. I still nominated another person, Audu Okala, who was a councillor in our area. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it because he had some problems. So for the third time they came to me, I had to concede. I had to concede. And when I conceded, I went into the field. It was then that I knew my boss, Aperaku, the governor of Benue State of blessed memory. And he confessed that he was always interested in my write-ups in the New Nigeria, especially the analysis. I read economics, and budget analysis, wherein I paid particular attention to the content of the budget of Benue State under Colonel Schelling, who was the military. Yes. He was interested because he too was preparing to go into politics and wanted some material to be able to harness on in order to appeal to the people to consider him worthy of the place. So he was reading my call unknown to me. So when we met on the field, he whispered to me. He said, if you win this election, you'll be my man. And that's what happened. When I won the election, landslide, I stayed there for about a month in the State House of Assembly as a legislator.
Representing the Kina?
No, the Ankpa.
Ankpa, okay.
Representing Ankpa.
Okay.
Ankpa Agriculture. And he called me and said, look, I told you before, come into the cabinet. So he nominated me as a commissioner in charge of agriculture and natural resources. Later, as commissioner for housing and environment, And when the elections were coming, they needed a grassroots somebody to be in charge of Ministry of Local Government and Primary Education, to be in touch with the grassroots. And he chose me for that assignment. That's where I was. Then the party people all came and said, this is our man for deputy governorship. Because there are some friction between Peraku and the then deputy governor. Something that existed before I knew any of them. They couldn't iron out. And
so their past caught up with them, so to speak.
Yes. So that is it. Won the election, sworn in. Incidentally, in November 1983, Aparaku had a call to travel out. And I was sworn in as the acting governor. So part of my credential is that I was an acting governor as well. So you can see my trend. Within the period of 4 years plus, I had risen from being a candidate. A candidate had won election into the State House of Assembly as a legislator, then into the executive as a commissioner.
Commissioner of 3 ministries.
Yeah, 3 ministries. And then as a deputy governor. My progress is so astronomical.
Meteoric rise.
Yeah. So that's why I remain always grateful to Allah because of this.
Well, you went into politics and you have narrated how you rose astronomically, as if I borrow your words. But then something happened and the government had to go.
Yes. Yes, something happened. So a week or two after I represented the governor at the passing out parade, this annual Army Day, I took the salute at Makadi on behalf of my governor. And the senior officers gave me all the due respect as governor. Only a week later or so, I went to bed on the 31st of December, only to be woken up by a telephone call from a colleague who was a member of the House of Assembly. Look, something is happening. What's happening? The army had taken over. And the rest is history.
Yes, the rest is history. But having been a politician and having experienced what you have just narrated, do you think the politicians of today have any lesson to learn from those kinds of developments?
Yes, I am anxious to speak with upcoming politicians because when I compare politics in my days to what is happening now, the difference is like chalk and cheese. One, people took serious decisions before they went into politics, not because they have nothing else to do. Like I told you, I had a juicy job at the Peugeot. I was persuaded to leave it and come to serve. Today, people probably for want of what else to do, they find themselves in politics. So how can you expect a real focus from an accidental politician like that? Yeah. Before then, he had nothing, no focus. Or people who have no second address. What I mean by second address is outside politics. What are they? Most of them, nothing. I think that's not good enough. Number two is that in my time, there was only one vacancy in that constituency, and only 3 of us were persuading each other to take it. Today, to the State House Assembly for the same constituency, you find about 35 people saying they want to fill that place, 35. And each of them is do or die. You can see the difference. So, again, when you say you want to serve the people, that is to say you are not going to enrich yourself. I remember when I came out of detention, the panel set up.
Detention meaning
after the coup
of December 31st, 1983?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, I didn't tell you, after the detention, almost all prominent politicians were detained, including my humble self. And I spent 22 months in detention. Nobody talked to me. They were carrying out their own investigation and so on. And at the end of the day, when I was released, their findings were that this man, if there's anything to be done in this, the government to pay Suleaji, because they found no money on me, nothing. My account was reading 31,000 naira. My boss, Aperaku, had 79,000 naira in his personal account. And he had none abroad, nor did I have any abroad. So today, even a local government chairman will feel like having at least targeting 1 billion in an account, several millions in an account. Why? What I'm saying is that there is a lot of change. I mean, the difference is obvious. I didn't have money at the end of my service because I was there to serve. Likewise, my boss, Aperaku. So, one thing that I would like to impart onto this upcoming politician is that please go there to serve, not to enrich yourself. In fact, there is this paradox. When people aim at huge naira, it is accompanied by a lot of problems, so that in net, you discover that you don't enjoy anything out of it, apart from what you display to people. It's not worth it. So my advice is go in to serve. The third is there is this lack of patience on the part of youth, lack of patience. If there are 3 vacancies and 5 people are competing, everybody has earmarked to work for himself. You produce, no, wait, do this first, then you can, they will not agree. There's lack of patience on the part of our politicians. So that's my third advice. Fourthly, this do or die politics. It doesn't pay. It does not pay. And at the end of the day, it is chaos. In my days, I cannot brand any of the young men around me as thugs, because nobody talked about thuggery in politics. But today, to succeed in politics, you must have a lot of money and a lot of thugs, which is most unfortunate. Most unfortunate. If you go to Benue State, where I served, today, walk on the street, nothing has been added to what the administration of Apako did. Nothing essentially. The state secretariat is still one of the best in the country. We did it. There were the Benue breweries. There was the Tarakuso Abil mill. There was the Benue bottling company. In our time, we commissioned the Benue cement, there. Although it's a federal project, we had a lot of impact in it. The main market in Makurdi today is one of the best markets around. We did it. Nothing has been added.
Well, to articulate all that you have spoken about in the last 5 minutes or thereabout. In some sentences, what advice do you have for the people who are in politics today and for the Nigerian youth so that this country can get better?
Yes. First, the decision to enter into politics should be based on a commitment to serve the people, to serve the land, to serve the country. Secondly, nobody should think that an aspiration should be a do or die affair. Thirdly, personal enrichment cannot necessarily translate to general development in that constituency, and it is of no use. So, and fourthly, youths, exercise some patience in anything you want. Exercise patience. Without patience, you will lose a lot.
Very well. Experience is something that really cannot be bought with money. You have seen it all, and I'm sure the words you are giving out now are well thought out, and it is best. We know that the current government under President Muhammad Buhari is enunciating change to try to grow the economy. Indeed, the indices are showing that the foreign reserve is growing. The country is, has been reported by third parties from the World Bank and so on and so forth that our ease of doing business is improving, and so on and so forth. So perhaps if this words you have given out as advice are added to this, maybe if our youth really think deeply about service, our politicians think deeply about service, eventually in a matter of time things will change for the better.
If I may also add, one of the elements that can promote good governance, what I have said, is the leadership. Presently, we have a president that is focused, a president that is known to be straightforward and not corrupt, somebody who is disciplined. You know, everything starts from the head. So the advice would be for those under him to take to his traits. That's why we have problem.
Great. Well, Alaji, we have spoken at length about your life in politics, about what you have experienced, about how you think current politicians should learn from Mr. President so that this country would be the better for it. But you are not only a politician. We have described you as an economist, a teacher, a journalist, a publisher. We would like to probe into these parts of your life. Let's start with the one that says you are an economist. That's what you read for your degree.
Yes.
How did you put that knowledge you gained from your degree to practice?
Yes. As Commissioner for Agriculture and Natural Resources, what we had read during our courses in the university had a lot of relevance to handling agriculture for advancement of development of the people. And well, like you know, I don't like to blow my own trumpet, but I am satisfied that during my tenure as Commissioner for Agriculture, what we did using what the outfit called ADP, that is Agricultural Development Project, which was located in Benue State at Anyangba. We had a lot of road construction equipment supplied by the World Bank. And I looked at this and I said, can't can't I influence use of this equipment for development of this area, particularly by way of rural roads, water supply, agricultural inputs, and supply of fertilizers. I set out and ensured that the ADP in Benue State then was so stressed to provide these facilities. And up to now, people still make reference to rural roads and rural bridges which came on during my time.
Well, Alhaji, we would want to know more about this and other aspects of your life, but we'll just take a short break. When we come back, we shall continue along this road of agricultural and rural development and many more parts of you. Okay. Stay with us. Okay. Welcome back. His Excellency Alhaji Sule Iyaji was giving us a backdrop of how he used the benefits of his knowledge of economics from his MSc degree, BSc degree in economics that you obtained from Ahmadu Bello University, to how you influenced, decisions at the then Benue State Ministry of Agriculture
and Natural Resources.
Yeah. In later life, after your government had left, there was this popular initiative by one of the military governments of this country called DFRI, Directorate of Foods, Roads and Rural Infrastructure. Yeah. I think that was the Babangida administration. Is it fair to say that they probably looked into some of the things that people like you did to come up with that?
Yes, I would say so, because that will lead the way. Development characteristically is usually centered around major cities of developing countries, while the masses in the rural area are neglected. So anything done the way I have analyzed, the way we did in our times, that will touch the life of the rural people. Any person who is in charge of ruling a country would love to do something like that. The difference is this. In my time, the ADP had a board. And they had 2 people from the World Bank represented on that board. And they have strong voice in disbursement of funds, because they are representing the World Bank that gives out most of the loan, most of the funds. So you can see that you cannot mess around with the funds from the World Bank. But when things like DFRI, all this came in, it became all a Nigerian affair. And I don't think that discipline in handling funds was necessarily observed. Secondly, procurement in our time was done by the World Bank, which is very critical. So we had benefit of the funds spent. But like you know, in the Nigerian situation, before you know, something will go wrong somewhere. Occupants of such places become very rich, while the project suffers. This is the thing. That's the difference.
Okay, let's continue with your life as a commissioner. After Agriculture and Natural Resources, you were moved to the Ministry of Housing and Environment.
Yes.
Now, in today's Nigeria, housing and environment are key issues.
Yeah.
There is a talk about the federal housing fund not being easily accessible to a lot of Nigerian workers, even though civil servants are meant to contribute to it. There is the high cost of cement. You spoke about the state government and the federal government, Benue Cement Company. And of course, there is also the issue of the environment. The desert is fast approaching. There is climatic change. The weather behaves in a way that is not really known, and so many things. How would you look at housing and the environment in today's Nigeria?
Yeah, first of all,
compared to that time.
Compared to that time, yes. You see, housing becomes critical mainly in urban areas, provision of housing in urban areas. And this is because most workers, those who serve government, they need to live in a place. Either the government builds quarters for its staff, or money is made available to individuals to build their own houses. In those days, we embarked on building of quarters. In my days, it was, we made sure we were building quarters, even up to the local government level. I know in my local government, we built quarters for the staff of the local government. But the issue is to fast-track construction of houses. One key element is ownership of a piece of land to do that. Then the wherewithal, the money to do that. And thirdly, the vital infrastructure within the environment where the houses are located. These three things are key. I looked when I was Commissioner for Housing and Environment in Benue State. First, I tackled the issue of ownership of land headlong. I came, I met a huge heap of files. I said, what are these? They said they are C of O's awaiting signature so that they become valid documents of ownership. I approached my principal, the governor Aperoko. This is what I have seen here. And he said, well, he delegated the power conferred on him to sign C of O's to his commissioner for housing and environment.
That was you.
That is me. And at weekends, I would devote my time to come and take each file, study it. If a request qualifies for my signature, outright, I will sign. One of the good things I enjoy these days, if I see any Benue man, the way they appreciate me, oh guy, you signed my C of O for my house in Otukpo. My house at high level in you signed the C of you know, what I'm saying is this. For instance, if there could be files in this in the FCT today, somebody had made a request 15 years ago, and up till now, he has not gotten a C of O. And without a C of O, he cannot go ahead and develop and produce more, and build more houses for himself, or even for himself. So that is one bottleneck. Second is funds. We had a revolving fund for civil servants to access and build their own. I supervise that. As for infrastructure within the houses, again, we made it a priority. But you know, I am talking of a period of 4 years. 4 years, not too long, to carry out a dream to transform that sector. But we did our best.
You played your part.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about the environment. And I want to tie this one up here because we are talking to Alhaji Sule Iyaji, who was commissioner in the old Benue State. Yeah. And today, Benue State has come into the limelight for possibly the wrong reason, maybe even the worst reason. Clashes between so-called herdsmen and farmers. One clash too many, you may say. Yeah. The environment has been blamed in some quarters. There is population explosion. The herders and farmers who have been known to have cohabited in the past with one or two clashes here and there, but now the clashes have become more the order of the day than the exception. In terms of managing the environment, how do you think these clashes can be averted?
Yeah. There is a phenomenon which is ongoing, which we as human beings cannot tackle and solve. This climate change. 40 years back, grass were growing all over the north, the far north. But because of the climate change, this is receding down south. And because the cattle, the Fulani is rare, because they have to feed on grass, they have to move southwards, particularly in the dry season. This phenomenon, we can only attempt to do something, but it is an international global issue, tackling issues arising from climate change. That is one. Number two, the human beings outside the cows that graze and the grass that grows for them to graze upon. In between them are human beings. One is the owner of the cattle, and the other the owner of the land that grows the grass. Back to the issue in Benue State. The conflict between the Fulanis and the thieves of Benue State has a history. It has a history in the sense that even when grazing across, in 5 years gone by, the thief people and the Fulani people, they joke about the interaction that brought them together. In the sense that sometimes Fulani will leave some head of cattle somewhere around and will go elsewhere for grazing. And they expect that the team man will take care of the cattle. And it turned out that in some cases, this was reported, that they would kill some of the cows, not to sell them, but for to eat. And so when the Fulani came around, my cows are not complete. What happened? The Fulani, the team man said, Munchi. Munchi. You know, sometimes they call the thieves Munchi. That is the origin.
That's the origin.
That's the origin. Munchi. We are eating it. And even that did not create a friction between them. It did not. This is why I'm saying that the human element comes in. For instance, in 1979, when we were campaigning around, Sheikh Shagari came to Benue on a campaign. And he attempted to speak and remind the tea people that, where are my cattle? That's the typical Fulani man. Yeah. And the people are expected to reply, Munchi, we have eaten. And yet it was not an issue of conflict between them. It was a joke. It, in fact, brought them even closer together. So the issue is this. What used to be smoothly handled in the past, human beings of today they have made it a subject of conflict. We should ask, how did the Fulani person and the Tea people, what was their modus operandi that made them to live peacefully those days? Why has it turned into conflict today? So, what I'm saying therefore is that we should go back to history.
Very well. One hopes that the handlers of this situation, who are human beings, I want to borrow your words, would look at this and take decisions.
Religion. What would be right if we actually have the interest of this country at heart is that we should be fair and just to everybody, not abuse the rights of anybody, and let's fight terrorism together rather than hiding under the problem that we are all suffering from to actually abuse the rights of others.
Thank you so much for coming on the program today. And this is where we draw the curtain on today's program. As you know now, the hijab is the dignity of a Muslimah, and she should be able to practice her religion without any hindrance from anybody whatsoever. I am still Zuleiko Abaduri. Till come your way next time, inshallah. The program is Islam, the Way of Life. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
NTA2Lagos Network Center.
Looking for a place to relax and unwind after a tiring day? Lagos Resource Center is it. A place of hospitality and relaxation. An interaction center for retreats, AGMs, lectures, conferences, social activities for corporate bodies, individuals and religious groups. The Lagos Resource Center offers you various range of rooms such as standard, deluxe, semi-suites and suites for your comfort. Try out our pastries, Nigerian and international dishes, as our Bethany kitchen makes you ask for more. Our hall of various sizes are fully equipped with state-of-the-art facilities and up-to-date training equipment. We also offer professional outdoor catering services, all to your taste and delight. Visit our beautiful chapel for your meditation and prayers after a busy day. You can locate us at 9 Anifowoshe Street off Adiola Odeku Street or Okofo Abayomi Street, Victoria Island, Lagos. For further inquiries, call 070-3314-1149 or 080-7502-8582. Email recenter@yahoo.co.uk. Lagos Resource Center, relaxation, serenity and hospitality at its peak.
Let us plant a tree today. Make the rain fall, keep the desert away. Let us plant a tree today. Make the rain fall, keep erosion away.
The climate's changing because of burning oil and cutting down forests. Climate change will give our children floods, hunger, drought and poverty. Trees give oxygen, rain and shelter. Let's make Nigeria green again and plant trees to secure our children's future.
Let us plant a tree today.
NTA2Lagos Network Center brings you broadcast service wherever and whenever through our social media platforms, now live on just a click away. Global news, sports, business reports, politics, issues, events and happenings around the world, your favorite past and present TV programs, drama, documentaries, and for your news headlines, log on to www.youtube.com/NTA2Lagos. Watch, download, comment, and subscribe free. It's simply www.NTA2Lagos and explore our world of news and events. Available in all smartphones, iPads, and all Android phones. Like our Facebook page, NTA2Lagos Network Center. You can tweet us at NTA2LNC. NTA2Lagos Network Center, your reach out station.
Nigerians, our fearless officers and men of the Nigerian military are winning the war against Boko Haram. Today, all occupied territories have been recovered and Boko Haram has been degraded. Our brothers and sisters are getting their lives back. However, they are now after you and me. In our mosques, churches, schools, motor parks, markets, entertainment centers, and public gatherings. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security.
This is the network service of the NTA.
The proliferation of small arms and light weapons have accounted for the escalation and sometimes persistence of conflicts around the world, leading to injuries and deaths. In Nigeria, the scars of proliferation of small arms and light weapons are all over the areas that have encountered one conflict or the other. The United Nations estimates that there are no less than 350 million small arms and light weapons circulating in Nigeria, alleging that out of the 500 million weapons said to be in circulation in West Africa, 70% are in Nigeria. This figure has been rejected by the Presidential Committee on Small Arms and Light Weapons, which is in the process of coming out with the correct figures. While this is ongoing, such weapons are said to be in use in the conflicts involving herdsmen and farmers. How can this situation be tackled? This is our focus on Nigeria Today. I am Shegun Ojelade. I'm being joined in the studio by two eminent gentlemen. I have with me Nkema Konam Dixon Oji, the programs coordinator of the Presidential Committee on Small Arms and Light Weapons. I welcome you, Mr. Oji, to the program.
Thank you very much.
On his left is Usman Nasruddin. He is the Secretary General, Alumni Association of the National Institute, ANI. I welcome you to the program.
Thank you for having me.
He is a member of the National Institute. Once again, I welcome you, Usman, to the program.
Thank you very much.
Now, Dixon Oji, can we put into perspective the level of small arms and light weapons in circulation in Nigeria, bringing into mind the mop-up exercise by the police with just the expiration of the deadline, and then the enormous amount of weapons that the police recovered? Do we still have more out there?
Of course, we still have more out there. Excuse me, that's not in doubt. But the report of 350 million weapons in Nigeria, it means like saying 2 weapons per person, given the population of Nigeria. But I think the figure is exaggerated, actually. But I must tell you here that the Presidential Committee already conducted a survey, a comprehensive national small arms and light weapons survey. And then the report will be made